This week on Stop, Look, and Listen, Wafeeq Zarif of the GOB Radio Network talks with Quentin Talley of On Cue Performing Arts about what you have to do right now to be a full-time creative, how to make money as a creative, and how On Cue Performing Arts and the Hayti Heritage Center are improving your life.
What's up, everybody? How are you doing? This is Wafeeq Zarif. I'm your host tonight on Stop, Look, and Listen on the GOB Radio Network. Tonight, I have an interview here with one of my favorite people in the world. This is more like a reconnection of sorts, a throwback jam, if you will. I'll be talking to my homeboy from back in the day, somebody that I think that we all should get to know. And his name is Quentin Talley. Quentin Talley is on with us tonight for Stop, Look, and Listen. Quentin Talley, to give you some background, he is the founder, I believe, the founder and artistic director of On Cue Performing Arts, as well as the program director at the Hayti Heritage Center in Durham, North Carolina. Is all that correct, Q?
Yes, that is all correct, sir.
Okay, good deal, good deal. Just to give all of our listeners, and there are a lot of them out there, just a quick backstory on how I met you and who you are. Q is a creative. Q is a fantastic person, a creative, someone who has his hands in poetry, in playwriting, jazz, and the whole 9 yards. So if you appreciate the arts, you should definitely appreciate Mr. Quentin Talley. So Q and I met back at Winthrop University. If you listen to the Good Old Boys radio show, you know we call that the colors tonight for this interview. I have on my
yes, sir. Represent.
yes, and the Winthrop hat as well. Got to get that one in. All right, so Q and I met back in college at Winthrop University through some mutual friends. I believe it was in a dorm room where I ran into this gentleman, and my life has been better for it ever since. One of those friends, of course, I think you remember him, Q. This gentleman thinks he is the world's greatest spades player, Mr. Matthew Jackson. I remember. Yes, you remember that. So you got the same reaction that most people get when I mention that name.
Oh, but
yeah. I met you one night. It was in a dorm room, I believe, somebody's birthday party or whatever. But I feel like I have a front row seat in your rise to fame. I feel like I have a front row seat for that because I remember when it was just the two of us and some other people in the room talking about rappers. Then we started talking about jazz, and we started talking about the playwright scene. But then you got into house music as well. And I said, okay, so this is another brother who knows house music like me, because I'd like to do
yes,
okay. Sir. We started talking about In Living Color, and I said, all right, let me definitely get to know this gentleman. So I feel like I was on the front row to your rise to fame, and some time passed, and I believe the next year you were reading one of your original poems at the new freshman class's convocation as we were going into our sophomore year. And I believe that was the first time you ever did something on campus at such a large setting, one of your own original poems. So now to see where you are now, man, I feel like I was right there in the beginning. And I see this volcanic rise in the arts that you have been on. So it makes me proud to know you and proud to associate you. And that's why I want our listeners to also get that same feeling, as well as get some information they can use to better themselves if they would like to follow in your career track.
For sure.
Okay, so I'm going to just take it back to the beginning. I told everybody about how we met in Winthrop University, Rock Hill, South Carolina. But I want to hear it from the source, Mr. Talley. Who is Quentin Talley?
Oh, man. So since we're starting back from Winthrop, man, I'll give you the abridged version. So what's up, everybody? Quentin Talley here. And like Wafeeq said, I'm originally from Greenwood, South Carolina, born and raised South Carolina kid. Mm-hmm. Went to Winthrop University, had a great time at Winthrop. Wish I could go back every day. Life was much simpler then.
If they had told us what we were getting into, we wouldn't have left it.
I would have never left.
And I think that's why some of us never left.
Yeah, exactly.
They never graduated, but they just never left.
Never left. Exactly.
Right.
But big up to Winthrop University. Met some great people, have great friends. for these past 20-something years. Can't believe it's been almost 20 years since we graduated.
Wow.
But while at Winthrop, I graduated in theater, got a theater degree in the African American Studies minor. And I've always been a part of the arts ever since I was little. I've been in plays, and I've always had a fascination with Black arts and culture, specifically. And once I got out of Winthrop, I came up to Charlotte, and I was gonna do the whole New York thing. I thought Charlotte was just gonna be a stepping block. And what ended up happening was I found a great group of artists here, poets specifically, when I first got here. And I was like, yeah, I'll stay up here for a little while. It's a small artist community, but it's a good one, a nurturing one. And it just kind of snowballed from there, man. I started On Cue Productions in 2006 with a mission to produce classic, contemporary, and original performance works that reflect the Black experience. And this is we're going into our 14th year. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I've done everything in the arts, from music to poetry to theater. Not only do I run the company, but, you know, that's the side hustle too, is you know, doing art workshops and performances, and, you know, the whole gambit. So yeah, man, that's pretty much Q. I'm an artist. Yeah.
Okay. I like that. Q is pretty much an artist. So we'll start there.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, why did you get into performing arts?
Man, I started in, I always tell people the story of, I was in first grade. I was the little gingerbread boy. And I literally got the part because me and another kid, we had the two highest grades in the class. And our teacher was like, I'm going to let between the two of y'all pick the parts for the show. And it was me and another white kid. And I was like, well, what's the two biggest parts? And she was like, the narrator and the gingerbread boy. And I looked at him, I looked at me, and I was like, well, obviously I should be the gingerbread boy.
Okay.
He doesn't have the color for the gingerbread boy.
Right.
So.
That makes sense. That makes sense. When we have the little shortbread man, I guess he'll take that role. But
yeah, exactly.
For gingerbread, I can see you in that. Okay.
But it started as a fun thing to do, you know, when I was smaller. And then, of course, once I got older and knew the context and history around performing arts, and especially Black performing artists and the struggles they had to go through, and the opportunities or lack thereof that they had, and their tenacity to just build things on their own, start their own theater companies, and start, you know, produce their own works. That's when I really took an interest. Around high school, I started learning more about just the context of, you know, poets and, you know, artists, all these different artists who just made an impact on Black culture. And I wanted to be a part of that in some kind of way.
Okay, that makes sense. A lot of people do get that start at something so small at the elementary school level. I remember I once heard Denzel Washington say that he got into acting because he was failing. I believe he went to Fordham University and he was about to flunk out. And his advisor told him, you need some easy A classes. And he got into acting 101. So, you know, humble beginnings, but we see where you are now.
Right.
Now you have your hands in a lot of things. So there's poetry, there is music, there is a playwright. What does the term creative in reference to a person mean to you?
It means all the above, all those things that you just mentioned. A lot of creatives, you know, dibble and dabble in certain things. They're not just one dimensional. And most of the artists that I know, they are great at multiple things. You know, they're not just they're a jack of all trades, you know, and most of them masters at all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what folks mean by, you know, creatives. In my opinion, is that, you know, you can do everything from teaching a workshop to, you know, doing a performance to teaching, you know, the whole 9 yards. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask something that I know a lot of people around the world want to know, because a lot of people are just like you and I. They're working regular jobs, but they have ideas.
Yeah.
And they want to get into something that's more fulfilling. They want to create something like a play or a movie, a piece of music, something artistic, but they just don't know how to get started.
Yeah.
Explain to these people, how would they go about turning their vision for creativity into something that is not only real, but pays them so that they don't have to do anything that they would rather not do, like work a regular 9 to 5?
Yeah. Well, first things first is write it down. You know, write down your ideas. Try and map out a plan. Even if you don't know anything about the subject you're in, what would you like to see? Because a lot of times your instincts are right. And I would say the most important thing is get a mentor in that field. Most creatives are open to being a mentor, you know, a mentor. So go up and ask that person, even if you think, you know, they're too high, or, you know, they might not have the time. Most creatives are open for you to have a conversation with them about what it is you want to do. You know, maybe you can intern at a theater if you want to go into theater, or, you know, you can, you know, help the band set up if you want to be, you know, get into music or whatever. It's all sorts of ways for folks to get into the arts. I just say closed mouths don't get fed. So don't be afraid to ask that person who you really admire about their work and how you can be involved and help out. That's the best way to learn more about the industry of being a creative.
Are you open to mentoring?
I am. I have done it before. I have a mentor myself. I got a fellowship back in 2012, a national fellowship through Theater Communications Group. And thankfully, my mentor was Lou Bellamy out of Penumbra Theater in St. Paul, Minnesota. And he's still my mentor today. I still talk to him, you know, at least once a month now. You know, it was almost every day when we were, well, it was every day when we was on the fellowship. But now, you know, we just check in with each other just to see how things are going. He's retired now, but he still helps out in multiple ways. So, and on my end, I've been a mentor to 2 or 3 folks throughout my career. I would always say I don't feel right being a mentor because I don't feel like I know enough still. I'm still learning myself.
Yeah.
But, you know, I try and share the information that I do have. So,
Can you tell people how to get in contact with you if they want to pick your brain and maybe have you mentor them?
Oh, yeah. They can hit me up at tallyup@yahoo.com. And also they can check out my website, quentintalley.com. So they can hit me up through there.
Spell Talley for the people, just so they get it right.
Talley.
Okay.
And Quentin is Quentin.
Okay,
Yes,
get that right, people. He is open to mentoring. Okay, so let's talk about you a little bit and what you have going on. What is On Cue Performing Arts, and how did it start?
So On Cue, we started in 2006 with a mission to produce classic, contemporary, original performance works that reflect the Black experience. And it's a theater arts company. And we started simply because while I was in Charlotte, right when I got out of Winthrop, I just saw that there was no official Black theater company here. But I met a whole lot of great Black creatives who, you know, majored in theater and had a background in theater, but, you know, the limited theater companies around here, well, not limited, but the companies around here at that time, they were only doing quote unquote Black shows during February. So I was like, it's enough folks around here for us to do Black theater all year long, which it should be. So that's literally how it started, man. I wrote a grant with another friend of mine, and it just kind of snowballed into what it is today. We got the first grant was to do 3 shows, and one of the shows didn't go as planned because there was a hiccup in scheduling or whatever. But we ended up bringing the show to Levine Museum of the New South for MLK Day. And that just kind of exploded from there. And everybody was asking when the next show was. And I really had only planned to do like 2 or 3 shows. And like I said, it just kind of snowballed to what it is today. We got a residency at Blumenthal at Spirit Square. So we've been there since 2009. And, we've taken shows on the road. We've done original shows because I'm a big proponent of doing classic work because a lot of our playwrights are not known. Folks know August Wilson, they know Ntozake Shange, For Color Girls, all that. But if you name a play, some folks might not know that person, and it's up to Black creatives to produce those works, because how else are our folks going to be compared to Shakespeare later on if folks don't know those canons of work? So I'm a big proponent on doing classic work by Black playwrights. But I'm also a big proponent of original work. And, just knowing some writers around here, we got together and we have a couple of original works. Miles and Coltrane is our most famous one, quote unquote famous one, that folks know that we've been developing for the past 8-9 years. But it takes so much to do an original work that it takes sometimes that long to develop a work. So yeah, that's what we do at On Cue. We try and uplift Black voices authentically as we can on stage. So that's what we do year round.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned grants. A lot of people have ideas, but they don't have the money. How do you go about securing your funding?
Mostly through grants, and also through donations and sponsorships. We've been blessed enough to get multiple grants. So that's gotten us far. Right now, we're on hiatus, just with the COVID and everything. But before that, we were on hiatus anyway, because we're kind of restructuring things right now. But with that said, grants are, a way of life, unfortunately, in the art world. So.
Okay, now some people don't know the difference here. A loan is when someone gives you money and you have to pay it back. A grant is when they just give you the money and you keep it, right? You spend that.
Yeah. You just have to do what you said in the grant, that, fulfill your purpose in the grant. Yeah.
Okay, so grants sound like free money, folks, if you are watching. I know you're watching. Grants, Quentin Talley is saying grants are the way to go because that's not a loan. Just fulfill your obligation and do what you said you're going to do. Make it good.
Yep. And there are grants all over the place. A good resource is North Carolina Arts Council, or your local arts council, whatever county you may be in. Usually they send out a list of grants for all the arts, from visual to dance to residencies, the theater, for songwriters. There are grants for everybody. You just like with anything else, you just have to research them. But the good thing about, tapping into your local arts council or your state arts council is that they already have that list compiled, and they they usually send out an updated list with their email blast at least once a month. So that way you can kind of stay up to date and know the requirements around the grants. And the biggest advice I can give around grants is follow directions. Like, seriously, bro. I've been on grant panels before. If they ask you to write in 12-point Times New Roman, please do it. Because if you wrote in 12-point Courier, they're going to throw out your application. It's just simple stuff like that. Because, you know, if you can't follow directions, then what you going to do with this money?
That's true. That's true. That could be the test right there. The first test of whether or not you're worthy. Okay, good.
So it's just simple stuff like that, man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How can people go about getting more information and supporting On Cue Performing Arts?
So they can go to youarenowoncue.org or .com, either way. And they can definitely follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at You Are Now On Cue. YOUARENOWONQ.
Okay, we got it.
Yep.
All right, now let's move into where you are now, the Hayti Heritage Center in Durham, North Carolina.
Yes, sir.
Now, honestly, I know a lot of people, many of which are African American, that don't know the Hayti Heritage Center exists. And myself personally, I'll just be honest. I was living in Raleigh for about 7 years before I ran into Mark Lee, who I believe is I just forgot his official position. I believe he is at the Hayti. What is he there? He is he's in a support role.
Support role, site coordinator.
That's it, site coordinator.
Yeah.
I ran into Mark Lee, and he put me on to the Hayti, and he let me know what it does and how important that it is, and he lets me know what it provides.
Yeah.
So tell the people exactly what is the Hayti Heritage Center and explain the service that it provides.
So the Hayti Heritage Center is a historic building. It's been around since the late 1800s. I want to give you the exact date, but I don't want to say the wrong date. But it's been around since the late 1800s, like 1891, I believe, or 98, something like that. Mm-hmm. And it has been the center of Black Durham for those 100 years plus. Hayti was the center. For those that don't know the history of Hayti and Durham, Hayti was one of the models, according to W.E.B. Du Bois, for Black entrepreneurship in its heyday. And the church still stands, and the church was converted into an art center in the late 70s, and then reconverted again in the early 90s. And it's been a hub for Black arts and culture in Durham, and teaches about the history of Black Durham, and also just elevates arts and culture, Black arts and culture in general. So we provide programs for the community. It's also a space that folks can come and rent out the place. We have 3 floors. We have a basement downstairs with multiple offices. And then on the main level, we have a lobby with our art gallery, and our community room, which is also an art gallery we use as a multi-purpose space. And then the old sanctuary was converted into a theater. So we have a 375 seat theater where we have multiple performances. And then upstairs, we have another gallery and 2 classrooms and a full-fledged dance studio named the Chuck Davis Dance Studio.
After
and
Chuck
those
Davis.
of you, yes, sir, after Chuck Davis. He got his start there at Hayti. So that's, so he's been a part of the community, since the early 70s himself. So, Durham has a rich history of arts and culture in that neighborhood specifically. So I started last year. It's almost been a year. I started July 1st of last year to come in as a program director, just to offer more, more workshops, more classes, more performances for Hayti in the Durham community.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned that. A lot of African-American culture is there. So tell me, what does the Hayti have to offer someone who is of a more mature generation who may be looking for something safe and of substance?
Oh, it's the perfect place. So we do everything, man. So before COVID hit,
yeah, this world is pre-COVID, post-COVID.
All this is pre-COVID, people. So before COVID hit, it's a space that I like how you said the more mature audience that they know of and love, and a lot of them grew up in that neighborhood. So Hayti is very near and dear to their hearts, and it's literally a gathering space where community can gather and hang out, and folks rent out the space all the time and have meetings. We have a veterans meeting, all Black veterans meeting there every Tuesday. We have our quilters. We have a quilting circle every first Saturday. So that kind of generational ties, kind of keeping the culture going is one of the big things at Hayti. We also have a jazz ensemble, North Carolina Jazz Ensemble, that rehearses there and represents Hayti. We have film. Hayti Film Festival is there. It's the second weekend in February. And our curator, Lana Garland, is super dope. And she's over the festival.
Yeah, great festival.
Our festival director. So we have multiple things throughout the year in every category of the arts to try and give something to everybody, from families to millennials to, the older generation.
Okay. I like that you said quilting. There's a quilting group. Quilting is very therapeutic.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Okay. So that's the more mature generation. All right. Now, I'm asking this question because the fact of the matter is the hip hop culture spans 4 generations. It's 4 generations. That's a lot of time. And that means that the people who fall in these generations are not only the consumers of the future, but they are the consumers of the present.
Yep.
What specifically does the Hayti offer someone of these younger generations who appreciate jazz music, appreciate African-American culture, but might also find themselves in a club on the weekend listening to the Migos mumble or Drake maybe Drake get in his feelings? What do you offer them?
Well, it's funny you actually asked this question because we just premiered our latest episode we've been doing a celebration of Black music every Tuesday in June at noon on our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube pages. And this week was all about funk and hip hop. So we had the young cats representing. We had Maestro MCs, Mason Parker, who's out of Charlotte, and G Yamazawa, who's a longtime Hayti artist who now lives in LA. So we try and present things that are both for young and old. And we've had the jazz series that's been very successful, and would like to do more hip hop. But we've been doing that since COVID hit. We've been doing that online. So make sure you check out the Don't Stop the Music on Hayti Heritage Facebook page.
Okay. Tell the people, how can they get more information and support the Hayti?
So if they follow, go to our website, hayti.org, and that's spelled HAYTI. And on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram is Hayti Heritage. So follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Hayti Heritage Center. Yeah.
Okay. Now let's jump back into you personally here. Explain your creative process. I've always marveled at the stuff that you've managed to create, and I've wondered, how does it get from here on to whatever medium you're using? Explain your creative process.
Man, it varies, man. That's that's a tricky one. That's a tricky one to explain my process. So I try and be organic as possible. I try not to rush anything or force anything. I always feel like when I do that, it never works out well. And I've tried it over and over again. And every time I try and force something, it always is a complete disaster. In my eyes anyway. So that's the first thing. I try and like to be organic as possible. Now when it comes to, I'll say specifically theater, when it comes to theater, we plan out seasons for the year. So, since COVID hit, things are kind of weird right now. But before then, I've been planning out the season for this year, 6 months ago or to a year ago, because you need to know there's so many moving parts of theater. You need to know who the sound designer and set designer is going to be, and the costume designer, and they need to get the set, ready before then. You need to have conversations about that. You need to schedule auditions, and, it's just a lineup, lining up things, especially in theater, since there's so many moving parts. So there's more of a quote unquote plan. But when I'm reading plays and stuff like that, and trying to come up with seasons and themes for the seasons, I try and let that come organically as possible. Okay.
So it's all about organic creation.
Yeah. For me, it is. Some people are different. But I try and like to be organic as possible, especially when I'm writing or creating music. I try and like to be organic as possible, and then hone in on something more structured. But all of my writings and music especially comes out of that, just kind of being freestyle almost to a certain point.
Okay, speaking of freestyle, I've been watching a lot of the quarantine jazz sessions that you've had at the Hayti to get me through my day. Right. What's up with jazz music? What's your take on it right now? Is it thriving, or is it on life support? Who should we be listening to as far as jazz goes?
Man, I think jazz is always thriving. In my eyes, jazz is the backbone. Gospel and jazz is the backbone of Black music. So it will always be there. And I think in my eyes, we like to put things in categories. And I feel like jazz gets a bad rap because they think of their granddaddy's music. Or just some people don't understand it. It might be too busy for them or something. But I feel like when you categorize it as Black American music, it kind of opens the doors for your ears, because from funk to hip hop to R&B has some elements of jazz in it, whether you know it or not. It all comes from the same thing. So with jazz, I'll say that. And some new cats. Robert Glasper is always A1. Him and his crew, Chris Daddy Dave and Derek Hodge, all them cats. I like the old school folks, Coltrane, Miles, Mingus, all them cats.
Can't go wrong.
Like I said, I'm a big proponent on studying history, so you know where you're going, because all these folks had a blueprint and you just take it and build upon it. And that's what jazz is taking a phrase and building upon it. And there's so many cats out there doing it. Terrence Martin, man, cats locally. You know, in Durham is Dwayne Jordan. That's who I'm curating the jazz series with. Al Strong. You know, here in Charlotte, it's Lonnie and O.C. Davis. They have Jazz Arts and Jazz Art Charlotte. So you got a lot of folks, man, that are doing their thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you bought a house. Let's say you buy a house. You have a housewarming party coming up, and you could invite only 5 artists to your housewarming party. Keep in mind, you want to invite the right people. That way you make sure you get good gifts. So you can only invite 5 artists to your housewarming party, Q. Who are you inviting?
Oh, man. Dead or alive?
Dead or alive. I'm talking jazz music. I'm talking painting, sculpture. I'm talking poetry across all spectrums. Just any 5 artists.
Oh man, this is I hate playing this game.
That's why it's me, brother. I gotta know. We want to know about you.
We'll be here all day, man. Okay, so first off, Nina Simone.
Okay. All right.
Love Nina.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. James Baldwin. I would want to talk to James Baldwin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good one.
James Brown.
I've got to have brother James.
Because James got the liquor on him. James gonna have the liquor on him. Let's be clear.
I believe so. And he, knowing him, he would come in, he would cook something and bring it there too. Smothered snake.
Exactly.
Whatever you want. Okay. Nina Simone. Okay. James Brown. James Baldwin. Who else?
Okay. Oh man. Who else would I invite? I got 2 more people, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, this is when it gets tough because I gotta narrow it down. Okay. Oh man. I would like to invite man. I want to say Miles or Coltrane, either one of them. But I feel like both of them would be in the corner somewhere thinking about their next record.
You're probably right. Okay. So we've got Nina Simone, James Baldwin, James Brown, Miles Davis, and John Coltrane.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't go wrong with that. That's going to be a good party. I think you get some really good gifts.
Right.
All right, now here's where it gets hard. Let's say that house caught on fire and it's about to burn down.
Yeah.
And you could rush in and save only 1 piece of music. What's it going to be?
Oh, it's definitely Nina Simone.
Nina Simone, really?
Yep.
Why Nina?
Nina for me is just soul music. And she can play the gambit. So if you need to know anything about classical, about jazz, about blues, about pop, about even sometimes funk and African rhythms, she got all of that in her catalog. So I'm taking Nina with me.
Okay. So Nina Simone, I heard funk, I heard rhythm and blues. Speaking of R&B, is it just me or does R&B kind of suck right now?
You know, R&B has gone through its phases. And R&B these days for the past kind of, I guess, decade almost really, has really been hip hop.
I've said that to many people before.
Yeah. At least the stuff you hear on the radio.
Yes.
Now, you have to go outside of the radio because let's be clear, the radio sucks these days. So, you know, they play the same 10 songs all day.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't really have any true R&B on the radio, but we still have some R&B music. You just have to go find it.
Do you think Mary J. Blige had played a part in this? Because I know Diddy's formula with her back in the Uptown days was she's sitting on the shelf. They don't know how to use her. Then he says, hey, why don't we have her sing over hip hop tracks?
Yeah.
Now when I listen to the R&B, Chris Brown, sonically it sounds good.
Yeah.
But they're all singing over rap music tracks.
Yeah, I think Mary had, influence in that. I also think Missy had a little bit of influence in that. Because she's a hell of an R&B writer too. So they kind of go back and forth. That whole merging of R&B and hip hop. I think back in the day it was kind of the same thing with funk and soul music too. That kind of all eventually kind of merged together, where it was all just kind of one category. Where you didn't know if is this supposed to be a funk record or R&B soul record, So
right.
I think you have that during music where music influences, the other genre. So, but it's a bad case. Well, not a bad case, but it's more noticeable with hip hop and R&B today. Yeah.
Who are your top 5 singers of all time?
Ooh. Man, you got these tough questions, bro.
Look, we want to know about you. We want to know what makes you tick.
Oh man. Okay. Top 5 singers. So you gotta start off with Aretha.
Okay.
You just have to. If you don't, I don't understand what's happening in your life.
Okay. Understood.
So Aretha for sure. Stevie.
Can't go wrong.
Never can go wrong with Stevie.
The man was blind and did all that good work.
Yeah, basically. I would say Nina, but I think Nina is acquired taste. I love her voice, but she's not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's why I like her. Man.
Singers are hard. I know.
Man, singers are hard because there's so many good singers.
Yeah, that's why I asked that one first. Okay, give us one more. If you can't get 5, give me one more.
I'll pick one from this generation, Bilal.
Bilal. Okay, Bilal.
Yeah, Bilal. Okay. Definitely.
Okay, I feel you. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make it a little easier. Give me your top 5 favorite rappers of all time.
Ah, man, this is even harder. What do you... Oh, man. I'll say this. I'm a rap fan, but I'm not like hardcore rap fan.
Okay. Can we at least agree that Outkast is the greatest rap group of all time?
Thank you. Okay. Yes. Can we just put Dungeon Family in there just all together?
Exactly. Right. I have a
CeeLo,
partner.
Goodmile, all that. I just need all that right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I have
Scarface,
a partner.
all of them. Yeah.
I got a partner on the network, D. Mario Washington, who thinks for some reason it's either Wu-Tang Clan or Mobb Deep, and we get into it all the time. I think he's crazy. I believe he wasn't raised right. There was some problems at home, maybe. Some psychological scarring. It had to be something, man. But it's okay.
I will also put in there the Roots. I think the Roots is the most underrated rap group of all time.
Well said. Well said. I feel you on the Roots. All right, so we're gonna come into the end here real quick, though. Gonna play a little game.
Okay.
Kill, donate blood to in a life-threatening situation, or bootleg his music.
Shit. Okay.
Kill.
Okay. Kill. Donate
blood to in a life-threatening situation.
Okay, it's got to be life-threatening.
Right, got to be life-threatening.
Okay.
Or bootleg his music. Just bootleg the music.
Okay, gotcha.
Drake, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole.
Kill J. Cole. So kill, bootleg his music.
Mm-hmm. Or donate blood to if he was hurt.
Or donate blood to. Okay. So kill J. Cole. Donate blood to Kendrick Lamar. And bootleg Drake.
Wow. Wow. So you went out there with kill J. Cole.
Yeah.
You do realize you live and work in North Carolina, right?
I know.
Okay.
I'll take that L. I'm not. I'm just not. I think he's a great brother and does great things, but he makes me sleepy.
Wow. Okay, he makes you. Wow. All right. There's a whole section of 95 South that goes through Fayetteville. You can no longer drive through.
I know. I'm sorry. Like I said, I think he's a great brother and does great things for the community. But as a rapper, you know, I just don't. I don't. It's not for me.
Okay, so we're on the record with it. Quentin Talley says, donate blood to Kendrick Lamar in a life-threatening situation to keep him alive. Bootleg Drake, Aubrey Drake Graham's music.
Yep.
And straight up kill Kendrick Lamar because he makes him sleepy. Wow. Wow.
Hey, I'm sorry.
You better stay on 77 South. Don't come anywhere near 95 South. There's a whole section of Fayetteville.
Get straight to South Carolina so I can have some backup just in case, bro.
Right. Okay. All right, well, we'll wrap it up with one more question here. Who are some poets that everyone should know?
Oh, man. Where do I start? There are so many poets that you should know. Oh, man. I'll start off with go old school to kind of new school. Of course, Nick Giovanni, Sonia Sanchez, Gwendolyn Brooks, Langston Hughes, County Cullen. Man, there are so many folks. Louise Clifton, Rita Dove, kind of more new school, kind of in, slam poetry, literary generation. Of course, Saul Williams, Mo Brown, oh man, there's a whole list of folks. I have to write this list out for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. We're going to get that out to the people because I wanted to make sure the poets get shine too. We need to know who to go out there and pay attention to.
Yes, I got a lot of poet friends with a lot of books and, some of the best writers I know. And a lot of them are, from this area, from the South. We actually supposed to just have, they have an annual tournament every year, Southern Fried Poetry Slam. But of course, COVID hit and wasn't able to have it. So shout out to all the poets across the Southeast. Southern Fried for life, baby.
Yes, sir. So leave the people with something. What would you like the people to know about you, the Hayti, On Cue, performing arts, anything at all? Just give us your parting thought.
Just in general, support the arts, support creatives, download a song, buy a book, buy a piece of music, buy a theater ticket, donate to that artist, because it goes a long, long way. Support is so needed, especially in these times right now. So support not just myself, but Black creatives in general and Black organizations, especially Black organizations, especially Black arts organizations. Even if it ain't but $5 or $10 a month, that goes a long way in helping to sustain an arts organization and being able to have the infrastructure to hire folks and, development. Sorry, I think I froze up there for a second. But hire folks and, have development. So please donate to your local arts organization, theater company, cultural center in your area, national, and just support Black creatives, because we all we got. So if we don't support us, nobody else is going to support us. So go do that.
Where can the people find the Hayti Heritage Center?
Hayti.org, HAYTI.org, and visit us on Facebook, Twitter, all the social media at Hayti Heritage Center.
Where can they find On Cue Performing Arts?
On Q, you are now on Q.org or .com, YOUARENOWONQ.
And where can they find Mr. Quentin Talley?
Quentin Talley, QUENTIN, Talley, TALLEY.com, and Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Quentin Talley. So check it out.
Yes, and if you all have any questions or thoughts about tonight's show, please feel free to reach out to me individually if you like. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Wafeeq Zarif, WAF as in Frank, E like elephant, E like elephant, Q, Z like zebra, ARIF, Instagram and Twitter. You all have just been enjoying a great interview with my good friend, Mr. Quentin Talley. Thank you so much for coming by, Q. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, brother.
Yes, and you are watching Stop, Look, and Listen, a podcast on the GOB Radio Network as seen on GOB TV. Make sure you check us out every week. We'll be bringing you good content like this. As always, I want to say love, peace, and happiness, and everybody, please just chill out, wear your mask, do what you have to do to protect yourself. We're going to get through this together. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you for checking us out on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe for more great content. And don't forget to check out our website at gobradionetwork.com.